All right, race fans, welcome to TurnLeft TV. I'm your host, Heath Johnson, and we've got a treat for you tonight. Interview with members of the Clinton Prairie Motorsports race team. That's right, man, a high school motorsports team. Going to get a chat with Joe Walker, the director of operations there for that team. Also one of the drivers, Brady Myers. They're driving the 65 kart this year. These guys getting geared up for the evGrand Prix, the World Finals held at Indianapolis Motor Speedway on May the 15th. That's just coming up, man, right before the 500. So should be a lot of drivers there that are IndyCar drivers, and probably going to see a lot of fans there as well. Should be a great one. So thanks so much for joining us as we get this interview underway. We start the interview off having Joe Walker, Director of Operations here at CP Motorsports. Tell us a little bit about the go-karts and how they're set up.
The karts themselves are a 48-volt system. It's 4 12-volt batteries back to the electric motor. We're limited on the amount of power. We can produce more power than what the stock chassis can. The whole class is set up for. So we're limited to 10 kilowatts of power based on trying to keep it a stock class with the stock top cart frames and try to keep it as even as we can for the high school. On top of the batteries over here, you've got a physics box. Basically, Purdue University put those together. Everybody will run those physics boxes. We can get a lot of information out of that. We can get G-force, XY coordinates. We can get how much power is going through, our wattage, our voltage, and it will automatically, during our race at Indy, our red light will pop open if we're over our 10 kilowatt limit. So if that happens, then you're going to end up going into the pits for a lap or at least a stop and go. So try to keep it as stock as they can. Now we also run 2 races in the fall, one in Marion County Fairgrounds, one over at in Newcastle, and those are open class, so those boxes will be gone and we can crank this up as much as we can. The controller box is basically what you get is a controller box out of a golf cart, if you will. All Tracks puts those together out on the West Coast. We purchased those. There's different models and variations. We can plug our computer into this, and we'll show you that later. Then I can get in there and control my torque value, my throttle value. First time you put somebody in a cart, you're going to want to really put it about half value, because people don't understand that with the power of an electric, the torque, it could throw you out pretty quick. So we can adjust those down and then control it that way. So a lot of controls that we have on these. The wiring itself is like I said, a pre-setup, kind of a kit for the kids to put together. Batteries that last a long time as long as you take care of them. We have lost sets of batteries. We have fried batteries. The open race at Newcastle last year, they had a team fry a motor, which is another $1,000 out the pocket too. So you got to be kind of careful on how far you can push things. Everybody wants to get that edge. That's racing, but you got to be kind of careful. Basically, they're set up on a disc brake system. We've got to teach the kids how to bleed brakes, how to fill reservoirs and fill it up, and get everything back here on a disc system. On the back of the cart, you'll see a nice big disc brake set up on there. Like typical setup for go-karts, we can adjust the width of our track on the front. We can adjust the width of our track on the back to change our steering, change if we were pushing or if we're pulling. Kind of see how we are going in the corners and make those adjustments. 4 slick tires. It's spec'd out with Hoosier tires right now. That may change in the future, but right now they've got the contract with us, the state of Indiana. But again, that's changing. We're racing now. We'll be racing with high school teams all over the country, and we'll be racing with teams, actually some international teams coming over this year. So we've doubled in the last 3 years. Each year we've doubled the amount of karts. So we're looking at around 40 karts to race this year from several different states in the U.S. So it is growing in popularity. We'll run on a Wednesday. The day before, on Tuesday, the colleges will be running. They'll be running with the lithium-ion batteries instead of the 4 12-volt dead cell or batteries, cell batteries. So it's growing in nature. It's going to continue to grow, and it's gaining popularity. And we've got sponsorship with Purdue University and Hoosier Tire and major sponsors on board, then it's going to continue to grow as long as we can for the foreseeable near future, I think.
It looks like you got a lot of local sponsors as well. They're coming out and contributing as well.
Yeah,
to the effort.
it's it's a turnkey system. You're probably talking with entry fees and everything else, $4,000 to $5,000 a year. So we do this simply as a group adventure, after school type activity where we do not get any funds from the school. They let us use the room to put things together. So we have to make our own money. So it's a true race team. So the kids go out. Part of our whole economic plan, our business model and plan is to go out and show people what we're doing, gain sponsorship, get their logos on here, then take the cart out, show them at their work. Who knows? We can set it up in their shop for a day or two or a week and have it out. And McAllister Cat's a major sponsor. They're a large corporation, and they had it in their showroom for about a week, and it was a great draw, a lot of conversations. So it's a two-way street, to be positive with everybody. So yeah, it is a true race team. And as racing goes, you're not going to make any money in racing, but we've got to have it to get everything going. So it is an expensive little toy.
Good learning experience for the kids too, to see the integration of the businesses and with the team and how that all comes together as well.
It's a great way to do things in terms of, it's twofold there. We've got a PR division that they go out and do a lot of the sales techniques, and they go out and do a lot of the sponsorship donation. They'll go out and give their proposal to whoever, the Chamber of Commerce or whoever, what group it might be, looking for team sponsorship. They're gaining interpersonal skills. They're gaining public speaking skills that works out really well for them in the future. At the same time, the team itself, the main frame is to a STEM activity to get kids involved. We have kids involved who are very good with turning wrenches, and we've got kids who have no experience at all in turning wrenches, and that's fine because that's part of the whole deal, to teach these kids how to solve problems. It comes in many pieces. There are no instructions, so they put it together, and when they find out they don't have something together right, they've got to take it apart, and then once they tear it up, they know they've got to fix it. So there's a lot of work involved in repairing these carts. This will be our third year in it, and we've definitely had some bent metal and some spots that we need to replace. So that's all part of it, and so it appeals to different variations of kids. The STEM activities some kids really get into and tear into. We've partnered up with our science department here at school and do some things with them. So there's a lot of secondary type people involved in this that really gain from this, and the kids are really liking it and continue every year. Have more and more kids can get involved in the program, so it works out well.
Yeah, you've gone from the one cart effort to two. Is this the second year then for the two cart effort?
Yeah.
Any aspirations of maybe being able to expand that to three or more carts?
It just depends. You got major problems there are, we don't have a trailer. We're trying to borrow trailers, get things from one spot to the other. Getting a third qualified driver. This year we've got two very qualified drivers, so that's always key. I don't want to just stick somebody out there, in a 40 cart race trying to qualify and do well. I don't want to set anybody up for a failure, but possibly in the future we might get the third cart going, but right now two is a God's planning for us.
And your drivers have some experience in racing outside of this effort here too.
Absolutely. I got the two drivers we have this year have a lot of racing experience. One's a flat track motorcycle racer, and the other one's a dirt track go-kart racer. So he's found that the asphalt's definitely different for him, but he's done very well, and they understand the terminology of racing. If something's pushing or if it's too tight going in, they can talk with us and we can adjust the caster camber, we can adjust the width of the track, we can do a lot of things. So that helps out a lot.
And those guys doing some work as well on the carts too,
Absolutely.
Coming in and helping out there too.
Everybody's, like I said, it's not a class, it's just an activity, it's a group after school, so everybody's coming in. If it's right after school or 6 or 8 or 10 o'clock at night to turn wrenches, whatever we have to do, or if we have to go to a presentation somewhere, everybody just does it on their own time. So
what a great opportunity for kids that may find some of their interests in schools and different areas, a way to identify some of those kids and get them focused.
It really is a great way to get them involved, and I'm constantly then when we're talking at night at 6 or 8 o'clock at night, I'm asking how their grades are going, how their classes are going. So any way you can find to keep kids interested today, and keep them busy, it's a good thing, and these kids are definitely interested in this and involved, and are having a great time. So I've got students that have graduated come back, and they want to know how the kart program's going. So that's always nice to have some alumni come back and ask how it's going just only in the third year we've done it.
I'd say personally for you too, you've been a huge race fan. We talk racing a lot.
Absolutely.
And this has been something that I think maybe you've dreamt about for quite a long time. A good opportunity for you.
Absolutely, it's always good. Anything that deals with racing, I'm in the middle of. So I enjoy watching it and going to races and getting down to Indy. We're just so fortunate to have the IMS, in our backyard here. Right. So we take it for granted. But being able to go down there and race, I think you'll probably hear in the video later is it's a video of the race from last year. There's the Indy cars in the background going around, so these kids can go out and test these. They can go out and do some hot laps. They can do some time qualifications, and then while the carts are charging, they can go out and watch the IndyCar drivers race on the track when they're during practice week. So it's a big adventure for these kids, and they get a lot of excitement out of it.
I mean, what an incredible opportunity for a high school kid to go and race at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, arguably the most famed track in all of motorsports.
It is. It's like I said, it's a smaller, a kart division track in the background, but a lot of the drivers have came out. IndyCar drivers have come out and walked around and looked. We've got a lot of people wanting to know what's going on down there, and then when they see these electric vehicles going, and it's the education process too. We've talked a lot about education in terms of electric vehicles, the car of the future, the vehicle of the future, and that's what we've tried to do. A lot of information to the people, the public, the community on where we're going, and most of these we've had a lot of elementary kids come down and take a look, and most of those kids are going to be driving electric vehicles. So why not get them started now in terms of what they are, and then also tie that in with STEM education, so it works out real well.
All right, next up is an interview with Brady Myers, a driver of the number 65 kart. He's got quite a bit of racing experience, a young guy, but got a good amount of racing experience to bring to the table here. And we'll get his feelings on the race coming up here. Also, what it's like to be on this motorsports team, and really, how he's involved in not only being a driver, but also turning some wrenches here at CP Motorsports.
All right, welcome to TurnLeft TV. I'm your host, Heath Johnson, and we got a special treat for you this afternoon, talking to Brady Myers, driver of the number 65 kart for CP Motorsports. Welcome, Brady. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. Brady's a student of mine as well. I know biology may not be your favorite subject in the world. We should probably have an auto racing class we take.
Yeah.
All right, Brady, I know you got some experience racing, and we talk quite a bit about racing when we have a chance in class. It's been a good way for us to get to know each other a little bit better. Talk about how big of a fan you are of racing, and then how you what form of racing you like.
Well, I like NASCAR, and my dad used to take me to the local short tracks, and we'd watch races there, so I've just been a race fan ever since I was little.
And you got a favorite driver there?
Not at the local tracks, no.
What about the NASCAR?
My favorite NASCAR driver is Kevin Harvick.
Okay, awesome. You think he's going to get in the chase this year?
I don't know. He's not doing very good this season.
And I know we talk about some of our drivers that are not necessarily our favorites. We'll leave that a secret, right? So you've got some racing experience too coming into this effort. We'll first talk about how you came to be on CP Motorsports, and do you have aspirations of continuing to be a member of the team even next year as well?
Well, Mr. Walker knew that I raced dirt go-karts, so he came to me wanting me to be on the team and see if I could help him out a little bit.
Awesome. And you want to continue this the rest of your high school career as well?
I plan on it. Yeah.
Awesome. And you do some racing on your own as well outside of this. What kind of racing do you do?
I race go-karts on dirt.
Okay.
Dirt ovals. So.
And given the experience that you've gained in racing dirt go-karts, is there anything that translates over to what you're doing here with the electric powered karts?
The whole driving style that I've learned racing dirt karts has really made me better at driving these asphalt karts.
How long have you been racing the dirt karts?
I've been doing that for about 4 or 5 years now.
Awesome. Yeah, and So we talked about how your experience translates. I came in the other day to talk to Mr. Walker and to see about, see when would be a good time to do interviews and so forth. And I saw you turn some wrenches and helping to work on the car. Is that something that you do quite often here with CP Motorsports?
Yeah, we work after school quite often to help get the carts prepared and ready for events.
So not just driving the cart, but also getting into turning some wrenches as well.
Yeah.
Awesome. And talk about how helpful Mr. Walker has been in helping you work on the carts, but also helping you with the driving and so forth.
Well, Mr. Walker really keeps us moving. He keeps it fun and keeps us motivated. So.
Yeah, and you can tell Mr. Walker's a big fan of racing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're always bouncing things off each other, talking about racing and different forms of racing, and talking about what drivers we're rooting for and so forth. So, he's a big fan. You've gotten a testing session under your belt at Whiteland Raceway Park. Was it just a little bit earlier this year?
Yeah, it was a couple weeks ago.
Okay. We talked just a little bit off camera about your feelings with respect to that course. How did you like that course? How valuable do you think that the testing session was there for you?
Well, I think that testing tune really helped us because our cart, the torque settings were off. So that helped us get the cart tuned and get it ready.
And you had a lot of other drivers out there as well, so you were able to sort of mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, we were able to go off other drivers and see what they were doing.
And how did you feel like the cart was handling there at Whiteland?
The cart handled good.
Yeah,
I was impressed with the cart.
Whiteland Raceway Park is a go-kart track that's located just south of Indianapolis, owned by former Indianapolis or IndyCar driver Sarah Fisher. So I was reading some information about that today. She purchased that track and has really done a lot of tweaks, a lot of modifications, upgrades, and so forth to get that thing even better. And you were talking about how that track has really improved.
Yes. Yeah.
So this really is a team effort. You've got a team member. Talk a little bit about your team member who's going to be racing the number 72 cart, which is just behind me. Now I think he's been in a race before in these. Has he bounced any ideas off of you, given you some suggestions and so forth?
Yeah, Cody Criswell, he races dirt bikes, so he has racing experience, and he's actually drove this cart back here 2 years now, so he really knows what he's doing as far as racing these go-karts.
And he does some dirt racing too, but it's a flat track motorcycle racing on dirt.
Yeah.
Those guys are crazy.
Yeah.
Those guys are crazy. So, yeah, he's I would imagine that his experience has been helpful and with you here being new to the team, even though you've got a lot of racing experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's got to feel a little bit different being an electric cart there, not having that rumble of the engine behind you or in front of you, behind you, I guess. Mm-hmm. And the pickup on these electric carts too is something to really get used to.
Yeah, it is. The carts have a whole lot of torque, whereas as the gas engines are more top end than they are bottom end.
Yeah, so you can't just mash the throttle in these things?
Well, you can, but it's instant power.
Yeah, a little bit of shocking power, no pun intended, by the way. Well, you've got a big race coming up on May the 15th at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the evGrand Prix. Mr. Walker was saying that there may be 40 plus drivers in that. First of all, talk about how you feel about racing at Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Well, I think as long as we qualify good and stay up front and out of all of the people that don't really know what they're doing,
yeah,
I think we ought to do pretty good.
Yeah, so track position is going to be key there.
Yes.
I've seen that track. It's a pretty twisty and turny track. A lot of twists and turns there, and as any road course you're going to have, but it's not too often that people can say that they have the opportunity to go to Indianapolis Motor Speedway and race in a race where potentially you've got some IndyCar drivers going to be popping over and maybe even watching that event too. So it's a practice day for them, I think.
Yeah.
You know, moving up to the Indianapolis 500, that place is going to be packed. You know, you feel like the testing session at Whiteland Raceway Park has given you some pretty valuable information going into this race.
Oh yeah.
You guys had a session the other day here at the school where you set up a mock course that mimics the course there at Indianapolis.
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel about the setup there? And you know, I know it's not going to be exactly the same, but it give you a pretty good idea of what it's going to be like.
Yes.
Yeah, and have you set any personal goals for the race? I know, you know, I don't do real racing. I do some online racing. I know when I got in my first race, I was so nervous. You know, my goal was just to finish, and then it started moving up to maybe top 10, and you know, and then maybe being able to win. You know, what are your goals here? You've got experience coming in. What are the goals that you're setting for yourself, or have you set any personal goals here?
Well, my goal is to qualify up front and stay out of other people's messes and see what we can do.
Yeah, you got to be real track aware, I guess, in a place with that many drivers.
Mm-hmm.
You got, again, you'd mentioned there were some drivers that might be a little less experienced that are going to be out there, maybe doing some moves that they probably shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
And you know, Cody, has he talked to you a little bit about strategy and what he wants you? You know, have you guys talked about what you guys are going to do during the race here, maybe work together, that type of thing?
Not really. He just kind of goes out there and does whatever.
Yeah. Do you feel like you guys would race each other a little bit differently once the green flag drops compared to the way you would race somebody else?
Well, I mean, since we're team karts, I don't think we're really going to want to tear both karts up. So, I mean, we're probably not going to do too much.
It's not going to be those that Kevin Harvick, Austin Dillon type of thing?
Well, maybe if it comes down to the last lap and we're running 1 and 2 or something like that.
Right. Right. Awesome, man. What do you feel like you have a pretty good chance of, you know, top 5, you know, maybe even top 2, maybe even a race win?
Yeah, I feel like the chances are pretty good for that.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks so much for sitting down with us today here at TurnLeft TV. I greatly appreciate it. And best of luck to you on May the 15th at Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
All right, thank you.
All right.
All right, hey, thanks so much for joining us here on TurnLeft TV. I'm your host, Heath Johnson, and thanks to Joe Walker and Brady Myers for lending me a little bit of time to get their thoughts on the upcoming high school world finals, the EV Prix at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. If you'd like more information about CP Motorsports, go to @CP Motorsports on Facebook or Twitter. If you want more information about the world finals coming up on May the 15th, go to evgrandprix.org/high school. Give you some information quickly on race times on May the 15th, 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. qualifications, and then at 4 p.m. the high school world finals race at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. What an honor it is for those guys to be able to race in that, and an honor for Clinton Prairie to be able to host those karts as well. So thanks so much for joining us here on TurnLeft TV, and I'm your host, Heath Johnson. Until next time, boys and girls, we out of here.